welcome to an art video. My name is Phyllis, and I'm an artist who makes videos about art. I don't have a degree or any expertise. I'm just very curious about art, so I choose a random subject, research it, and then create a video for you about what I learned. If this sounds like something interesting to you, I make videos like this about every other week. So subscribe to my channel so you can get more videos. I also live stream on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. Um, Join me for some art and some conversation. I try to work on a drawing of some sort. Last week I barely got through part of the background, but hey, I talk about life, my life, the world around us, whatever's going on. So join me for that. That's Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. What is art? Well, the term art can describe a broad range of disciplines from dance to painting to theater to literature to music. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to stick with visual arts as usual and go with painting, sculpture, photography, that sort of thing. When I ask the question, what is art? What is the first thing that you think about? Is it possibly one of these? Those are all iconic paintings that sort of set the standard for what we consider art in the art world. They're the celebrities of the art world, the ones that everyone is familiar with, that we think of when we think of fine art. The dictionary definition of art is the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form, such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. While in general beauty is subjective, there are certain things that we've all kind of decided are beautiful in general in society. So beauty is an understandable part of the art world, but emotional power, that's where it gets complicated. Art can make us feel things, and sometimes those feelings are decidedly unpleasant. Sometimes art makes us mad. This is a 1987 photograph by artist Andres Serrano. He is an avowed Catholic and has been all of his life. In this photo, we see a crucifix submerged or suspended in some sort of an amber-colored liquid. There's an illumination on the body of Christ, and the whole picture feels very reverent. The photograph is called Immersion, Piss Christ, and the crucifix is submerged in the artist's urine. According to Serrano, this is a representation of the cheapening of Jesus Christ in modern society. It comes from a place of reverence and love. It was never meant to be an insult to Jesus. Does knowing that the substance the crucifix is suspended in is pee change the way you feel about this photograph? When it was displayed, it caused a great controversy, with many reactionary Christians calling it blasphemous. Even though that was not what the artist intended, they completely ignored the artist's meaning and took it as a great insult to their religion. Reverend Donald Wildman, who founded the American Family Foundation, sent letters to Congress, every member of Congress, claiming that this work of art was blasphemous and that the physical persecution of Christians was going to be next. When it was discovered that the artist had received grants from the National Endowment of the Arts, there was a lot of pearl clutching, and people were very upset that a work like this was funded by the government. They claimed it was a violation of the separation of church and state. This controversy, along with a couple of others, led to the defunding of the National Endowment for the Arts. This program had been created by Lyndon Johnson as part of the Great Society, and conservatives had hated it from the beginning and did not want any public money going to fund what they considered degenerate art. The proposed budget for 2020 included a complete cutting of the National Endowment for the Arts. They plan to eliminate it from the budget and not support art in America any longer. Fortunately, this did not come to pass. This really never had to happen. The artist explained his intent for the piece of art. However, the reactionaries weren't having any of it. This is one of the interesting things about art, is that it can be just completely subjective. Each person looks at it and decides for themselves what they're seeing. I believe that when viewing art, the intent of the artist does matter and should be, if not one of the things, then the first thing you take into consideration when viewing a piece of art. What did the artist intend with this piece? However, a lot of people just go with their own gut reaction regardless of what intent was and choose to be extreme with their negative feelings. Some people just want something to be mad about. Michelangelo is a good example of an artist that most people in general agree was a master of his craft. Someone who sacrificed his own well-being to paint beautiful images onto a ceiling. He's the artist that brought us the moment when God gave life to man. In his time, Michelangelo was actually quite a revolutionary. We think of his works of art as being sort of standards for fine art paintings in the world. But at the time, they caused quite a controversy and were almost viewed as smut. Why would these beautiful paintings be viewed as smut? All the male nudity. Michelangelo liked to paint nude men, and he did so with beauty. All the male nudes that he painted along the walls and the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, though, caused a great deal of problems with the Catholic Church. At the time, they were one of the main patrons of the art, as well as a huge influence on government. The church was not happy with the abundance of penis all over the Sistine Chapel. And so after Michelangelo died, the church commissioned artists to paint draped fabric over all the offending genitalia. In 2013, a large stash of modern art was found in an apartment in Munich. It had been there, most likely since the Nazis had reigned. The art was all considered degenerate by the Nazis, and they had actually exhibited it just for the sole purpose of ridiculing it in public. They divided all the art in that exhibition into different rooms, and one of the rooms was called the Insanity Room. It was filled with abstract art. Personally, I have a very broad definition of what art is, and just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's not art. Unfortunately, fascists do not see the world the same way. They see any art that's not some sort of strict representation of a sunset or still life as being degenerate and dangerous. When fascists get into power, artists are in danger. That's why all artists really have to be anti-fascists, because when they get into power, they're coming for us. What if art is really boring? Is being bored an emotional response? I would say it probably is. Let's take, for example, Bob Ross. I love Bob Ross, don't get me wrong. Listening to him while he paints, watching his process, just the joy with which he approaches, it seems like life, or approached life. It's just, it's a joy to behold. It really is. But the finished product of his works are, to me, quite dull. They're mostly seem to be lit the same way, and they're landscapes, and they have trees, and the whole thing is just a bit boring. But it's still art. I would proudly display a Bob Ross painting in my home. Oh, absolutely. Just strictly for the conversations that would be had owning a Bob Ross painting. But I wouldn't have it for the subject matter. Once again, I have an image I would like you to consider. And once again, I'm going to ask you, is this art? That piece is titled Fountain, and it was rejected from the Society of Independent Artists Salon in 1917. It was rejected even though the Salon's rule stated that they would accept any piece of art so long as the application fee was paid. However, they most likely thought that they were being punked by some anonymous artist when they received that piece. As it turned out, though, the piece had been created and submitted by board member Andre Duchamp, who then resigned in protest of his piece being rejected by the society. And thus began a controversy that still exists to this day. Is Fountain really art? Is taking a random object and displaying it in front of people an art? Well, like I said, I have a broad definition of art. And I believe that if the person made it with the intention of it to be viewed as art, then it is art. However, upon looking at that, you may come to a different conclusion. You may not think that that's art. After all, nothing was actually created. An object was simply placed in front of you to be observed. Could anyone do that? Well, probably. This piece has inspired other people. As a matter of fact, a couple of artists have cast bronze casts of Fountain and created their own works of art with it. The really interesting thing is, though, that the original piece, Fountain, the original urinal, has gone missing. No one knows what became of it. It seems like every generation has had its own art controversy, and we are in the midst of an art controversy right now with the introduction of NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. These are works of art, mostly digital, that are placed on a blockchain and given a unique certificate. Someone then buys that work of art, that unique piece of digital art, and they own it. This is all done with cryptocurrency. I believe Ethereum is the one they use for NFTs. And it's really creating a controversy in the art world. Is this art? Some of it is quite primitive. Not much is done. A few images are manipulated. It's really, once again, we get to, is that something anybody could do? Probably. That's why artists and non-artists alike are jumping onto this NFT train, trying to cash in on this new art form. I went through a mess of NFTs just to kind of make this video and get an idea of what we're looking at. I personally find the vast majority of it to be garbage. It's bad art. It's not anything that I would want if it existed in reality, in the real world, as a painting or a sculpture. I wouldn't want that in my house. None of it that I've seen really, maybe one or two pieces were interesting, but in general, I find it to be garbage art. But it's still art. NFTs may rub you the wrong way, but you can't take away the fact that they are an art form now. Photography was viewed much in the same way. People didn't consider that an art form because you were simply making an image of something that existed in life. But now we view photography as very much an art form. So NFTs may change and develop and grow. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that they develop into something where the interest of the images goes beyond, internet meme and into a realm where it becomes more like fine art, where the images evoke an emotion other than amusement or disgust or what, something a little more deep and meaningful for the human condition. So, what is art? Well, I would like to tell you that art is anything that a person makes that they display for other people, and we're talking about visual art here, that they display for other people to observe, that's meant to, give them a feeling of this is beautiful or any other thought or emotion provoking feeling. That to me is what art is. But you may have your own decidedly different view than I have, and that's fine. Art is almost entirely subjective. There really is no hard and fast rule as to what is and is not art, no matter what some art snobs or fascists might tell you. Art is way too broad to just put into a simple definition in a 10-minute long YouTube video. So in the end, there is no conclusion. I have my opinion that art is what an artist intends, and I would like for you to explore that idea and your own ideas and get out there and make some art and view some art. And just remember that that's one of the most primitive and earliest forms of self-expression that human beings have used and have been for many, many centuries now. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, do hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this. Liking the video really helps me with the YouTube algorithm, and it gives me a boost of that sweet dopamine. So I also live stream on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Join me for a chat, a conversation, some words, some convo, and I will work on a piece of art and try to pay attention to what I'm doing because I tend to want to stare at the camera and babble. So join me on Wednesday evenings and let's talk about life. All right, love you guys. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.
5, 6, 7, 8.